Hey there, revolutionary. Before we dive into today's episode, I have something super exciting to share with you. If you've been struggling to find your breakthrough moment and you're ready to take your author career to the next level, I want to invite you to check out the High Vibe Author Membership. It's my new membership packed with transformative courses, powerful meditations and hypnoses, and a supportive community that's here to help you manifest the abundant author life you've always dreamed of. Head over to authorrevolution.org/high vibe to learn more and start your journey to success today. Welcome to the Author Revolution podcast. I'm Carissa Andrews, author and your host, here to help indie authors like you master mindset, harness manifestation, and embrace cutting-edge innovation to elevate your career. Let's dive in. Well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the Author Revolution podcast. Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever followed a book launch checklist to the letter? Like we're talking all the way down to like the very last thing, only to end up stressed out and overwhelmed and probably wondering even if you're doing it right. Or maybe you skipped the checklist altogether, like I have, not gonna lie, and said screw it because you wanted to just launch your book and hit publish without sending maybe even a single email, and then felt weirdly guilty for not doing more. Yeah, if that's you, you are so not alone. Like I said, I've been there on both ends of the spectrum. Now, the truth is, most traditional launch strategies were designed for traditional publishing. And a lot of us in the indie space, we kind of just took them on board and tried to continue on with it. And for high energy neurotypical marketers who thrive on doing all the things, it's probably just fine. But let's be real. That's really not most of us, right? In the indie author space, especially when we're neurodivergent, we're juggling other jobs, parenting, or we just don't vibe with the rigid, like one size fits all kind of rules. And that's where I think a lot of us, most of us maybe, get tripped up. We try to squeeze ourselves into someone else's launch model. And some of us do that because we believe that they're going to know better, right? So we follow those 30-step formulas that we found on a blog post or in a course, thinking if I just do it right, I'll finally get the results I'm looking for. But guess what? The right way, quote unquote, isn't the same for everyone. And over the years, my decade plus when it comes to putting out books, launching books, figuring out my strategy and what works for me, I can honestly say I wish I would have understood this part of it sooner, right? Now, here's something I want you to really listen up for, okay? When you launch a book using a plan that doesn't match your specific energy, your goals, or even your audience, it doesn't matter how many steps you check off. Like, I'm a double Virgo, right? I love all the checklists, doing all the things and saying, woohoo, I did it all. But what ends up happening? You're not going to like it. You're going to end up feeling burnt out, disappointed by the results, or like you've somehow failed, even if you didn't. And that's why today's episode is all about rethinking the way that we approach book launches. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm all about revolutionizing the way that we come at indie authorship. Well, most things, but definitely indie authorship. Now, today we're not talking about throwing the strategies out the window. We're talking about creating a strategy that actually fits you, like literally you. One that feels aligned, doable, and dare I say it, even fun. I'll share what that kind of launch plan looks like next and how it's different from everything you've probably tried before, okay? So if traditional launches are not cutting it for you, if the way that you've been doing things just doesn't feel aligned, what does work? Well, let's talk about something I like to call an aligned launch plan. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you already know that I'm very big into alignment. This past year has been a huge one when it comes to finding my inner soul, finding what feels right, finding what it is that actually lights me up in terms of content creation, sharing my stuff, just being more me, right? And alignment in manifestation terms is all about doing this in our own energetic flow. So, what is an aligned launch plan? Well, this is a plan that is not centered around doing more. It's about doing what makes more sense for you. It takes into account your specific goals, your book's genre, your timeline, and this is the big one, your specific energy levels. Because let's face it, some of us are ready to go all in with a big, pre-order push or bonus bundles and a full social media blitz. Like we can go all in, we can do all the things. And some of us, well, we just want to quietly release our book to our email list, keep it low key, and then go take a nap, right? And both of those are totally valid. But the indie author space makes it seem like you're failing if you pick the latter, okay? Now, an aligned launch plan, in my personal opinion, starts with clarity. Because in order to really create what we want, to create the lifestyle we want as an author, we have to ask certain questions, right? So the aligned launch plan asks, what does success look like for this specific book? Okay. Do you want to grow your list, get more reviews, hit a specific revenue goal, or maybe you're just not wanting to burn out in the process, right? Once you're clear on your vision of success for this launch, it becomes so much easier to choose the launch style, the timeline, and the tasks that get you there without all the extra fluff. Okay. Now, here's where it gets really fun. When you combine this aligned approach with a tool like ChatGPT, that's where you unlock a whole new level of support. You know me, you know how I love to utilize new technology, new tools. We've talked about ChatGPT a lot, and that's because I kid you not, it is still, to this day, the best AI platform for authors, especially as it continues to grow with us. So, like I said, this is where you're going to unlock a whole new level of support. And no, I'm not talking about AI taking over your launch or spitting out cookie cutter plans here. That's not the goal. That's not the vibe, right? I'm talking about using it as your strategic co-pilot, someone to help you brainstorm, organize, and tailor your plan step by step based on the actual inputs that you give it, okay? It's like having a project manager who works 24/7 and doesn't judge your caffeine levels. Okay, mine might be a little bit high, but you get my point, right? So we're going to get into how that works in a masterclass coming up this month in July. We're going to go into the nitty gritty in that class. But for now, just know this. If you've been feeling like launch planning is overwhelming or misaligned or just plain broken in general, which is where I was sitting at for a very long time, there is a better way. And it starts with you giving yourself permission to do it your way. So let's talk about the AI part, okay? Because I know some of you are curious and maybe a little bit skeptical, especially if you haven't taken any of my other previous masterclasses on AI. And I totally get it, right? There's a lot of buzz going around out there about AI writing your books or replacing your creativity or giving you brain rot. But that's not what we're doing here, okay? What we're talking about is using ChatGPT as a strategic partner, as a strategic planner. Not all of us, even though I'm high in strategic, not all of us think strategically. And sometimes it's great to have an outsourced type of partner that can really help you. Think of it like a brainstorm buddy who's always available, never gets tired, and doesn't roll its eyes when you ask the same question 5 different ways. I might be guilty of this multiple times, okay? Ask me how I know, right? Yeah, that's how it works. But it's so fun because I've been using this not only for the strategic planning of my launches, but for strategic planning in so many different areas. Now, here's the magic, okay? When you combine your unique book, your goals, and your preferences with the right prompts, ChatGPT can actually help you clarify your vision for your launch, choose a launch style that actually fits your energy level, break down your content and tasks into manageable chunks, because let's face it, nobody wants to get overburdened, burnt out, overwhelmed, because the confused mind does nothing, right? And it will even help you brainstorm creative ways to monetize after and through or within or without without feeling salesy, okay? And the best part is it's not a rigid template. It's fully customizable. You get to guide the process and ask ChatGPT to help bring structure and ideas to the table really, really fast. And you can do this for every single launch. But if you like your certain launch plan, once you get one underway, now you can access it and use it every single time too. It's not about having to recreate the wheel, but sometimes we do need flexibility in our launches. And so if you need to be able to, plan and pace out the different launches differently, this is a fantastic way to do it. So instead of staring at a blank page or cobbling together advice from 10 different blog posts, you're going to create a launch plan that feels clear, personalized, and totally doable. But, and this is important, you don't need to be a tech wizard to make it work, right? You just need to ask the right questions. And that's what we're going to walk you through in the AI powered Launch Lab Masterclass on July 25th, okay? We're going to go step by step. So by the end, you're not only going to have a launch strategy, but you're also going to know how to use ChatGPT to support your process again and again for every single one of your book launches. So stick with me here because in the next part, I'll tell you how to join us live and start building your own aligned launch plan. All right. So if you're nodding along and thinking, yes, this is what I need, then let me officially invite you to that next step, okay? So like I said, I'm hosting a free live masterclass called the AI Powered Launch Lab, and it's all happening live on YouTube this month so that you can join from wherever you are, no special software required. And in this 1 hour session, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to co-create a launch plan that actually works for you. And that means your genre, your goals, and most importantly, your energy level. Like I said, no more burnout, no more cookie cutter plans, just real strategy made personal. Now we're going to cover how to clarify your launch vision, even if you're still figuring it out, choosing a launch model that feels good because there are multiple launch models, right? I want you to map out your content without overwhelm because we have enough of that in this space anyway. And like I said, even add a little monetization magic without feeling salesy. This is the exact process I use and teach my students, so you're going to learn how to make ChatGPT your launch co-pilot, not your overlord. And the best part, I've even created a custom GPT to go along with this entire class. So the strategy that I'm teaching on how to use ChatGPT and how to create this process over and over, that's going to be there for you, but it's also been built into the custom GPT. So I have Launch Lab custom GPT. It understands the methodology behind what I'm going to be teaching. It understands the process, the 4-step process. And it's also going to, like, when you ask the questions, there are prompts that are in there already, but you can ask whatever questions you need to. It will get you started on your launch plan strategy and ask you questions one at a time. I went through and really kind of put a lot of energy into wanting to get this thing to work for those of us who are already feeling a bit overwhelmed, right? Sometimes ChatGPT can give you like 16 steps all in one prompt answer. And for me, that's not quite the vibe, right? We want to be able to brainstorm just a little bit at a time without letting our brain ping pong all around. So I went through, I tweaked it, I gave it all the information, tweaked it again, played with it, and now it's gotten to the point where I'm even using it for my Kickstarter that I currently have for Carissa Knight. It's the one for dirty developments. I'm brainstorming new methodologies, new ways that I want to be able to, share what Dirty Developments is doing on the Kickstarter, all the things. And what's great about it is that I can do it mid-launch. Like literally, I'm halfway through the month of July and it ends July 31st, but I'm creating new things that I didn't even plan for when I was doing this before. So it's amazing. You get access to that custom GPT by joining this class, and there will also be a prompt download that you can access as well. So to get all of the details, to get signed up, you just head over to authorrevolution.org/274. Again, that's authorrevolution.org/274. You can save your spot, mark your calendar, and come hang out with me live. We're going to walk through so much stuff, and you're going to walk away with a plan that feels totally doable. And dare I say it, maybe even a little fun. All right, that wraps everything up for today's episode. I am super excited about this one. You are going to have an absolute blast getting over the hangups, the things that have been keeping you stuck when it comes to launching your books. I know you're going to enjoy it. So get signed up. I can't wait to see you inside the masterclass. So go forth and start your author revolution. Indie publishing isn't a one-size-fits-all, especially for neurodivergent authors. Traditional advice tells you to write every day, stick to rigid marketing plans, and follow the same formula. But what if your brain doesn't work like that? That's where Author Revolution on Substack comes in. This is where I show up, delivering real, unfiltered insights on how to thrive as an indie author with a neurodivergent brain, because discipline and structure aren't always the answer. Manifestation for authors. Yes, you can align your energy to make writing, publishing, and success easier. Deep dives into Author Revolution podcast episodes with extended thoughts, bonus content, and behind the scenes strategies. Also, my neurodivergent book worlds, from neurospicy rom-coms to urban and paranormal fantasy, because my creativity is as non-linear as my brain. And if you're ready to go even deeper, you'll get access to my private podcast, Manifest Differently, The Deep End, where I break down how to actually use manifestation as a neurodivergent thinker. So if you're a writer, creative, or just someone who refuses to fit into the standard publishing mold, this is for you. Follow me now for exclusive content over at authorrevolution.org/Substack.